You know, it's not every day you hear about a multi-millionaire tech CEO, a former big shot at Microsoft, who turns around and says he's not who you think he is. Well, that's the story of Tony Yustein. He's a man who basically traded the boardroom for the cosmos, and he claims he found a divine numerical code that's hidden in plain sight, all around us. It's an incredible journey, so let's dive in.
So let's just get right to it. This is the heart of his story, this single, absolutely extraordinary claim. Yustein is saying point blank that he is the final earthly incarnation of Archangel Metatron, who in ancient texts is known as the celestial scribe. I mean, that's a statement that completely reframes a person's entire life story.
And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? It's like two different people. On one side, you have the high-flying tech executive, a world grounded in logic, business, and computer code, and on the other, the spiritual scribe, someone who's decoding a cosmic language. So, the big question is, how on earth did he get from one to the other?
To really get a handle on this transformation, we have to start at the beginning, with his first act, a very conventional, and I mean very successful career in technology. So, look, Yustein wasn't just some guy who worked in the tech world. He was a real leader. He became a regional director at Microsoft while he was still in his 20s. Then, he went off and founded his own internet company, Softcom, completely from scratch. And over 12 years, he built that thing into a multi-million-dollar business. So his background is all about tangible results and, conventional success.
But the turning point, at least according to him, wasn't really a choice, it was a crisis. He claims he started receiving threats on his life from what he calls a shadow cabal, this secret group he believes is pulling the strings of world events. And he says he was forced to just walk away from the entire empire he'd built. He essentially gave it up for a symbolic dollar. He calls this devastating loss a grand cosmic redirection that just cracked him open and forced him to start asking much, much deeper questions.
And that search for answers, well, it led him to this one pivotal moment in 2018, an event he calls his Berlin moment, which, he says, is what flipped the switch and kicked off his full spiritual awakening.
The tool for this awakening was something called gematria. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with it, it's this ancient system where letters are given numerical values. The whole idea is that words or phrases that add up to the same number have some kind of hidden spiritual connection.
And for Yustein, this wasn't just some neat little puzzle. He describes the whole experience as a spiritual shock. It felt like he was getting a direct message from the universe itself, one that was confirming a mission for him that was way, way bigger than just being a tech entrepreneur.
So what exactly did he find in the numbers? Let's take a look at how this one discovery led to what he now calls the cosmic code. This is where it gets really wild.
Okay, so check this out. What's really fascinating here is how these numbers lined up. Using three totally different gematria systems, he found these values for his own name and for two really powerful phrases. That one, Hierophant Crown in particular, he took to mean he was being given this mantle of spiritual authority. He says the odds of these specific numbers just happening to line up like this are, well, they're astronomical.
So at first, he added the numbers up and got 2743, but something felt off. He pretty quickly realized this couldn't be the final answer because the number wasn't prime. And through what he calls a cosmic correction, he was led to a sort of cousin number, 2473, which is a prime number. It's the 361st prime, which to him symbolized the end of an old cycle and the start of a brand new one.
And this number, 2473, became everything. It became what Yustein calls the true prime code, like a kind of cosmic signature or a key to unlock it all.
And what's crazy is that this wasn't just some abstract calculation he came up with. The number had a deep personal connection. It turned out to be the last four digits of his own father's phone number, connecting this huge cosmic discovery right back to his family story. Plus, the digits themselves add up to 7, which is a number that's so often linked to spiritual perfection.
But right alongside 2473, another number popped up that was just absolutely central to his story. A number he claims has been, in his words, stalking him his entire life. And that number is 27.
And the number of times 27 appears in his life, it's pretty remarkable. He was born on March 9th, and what's 3 times 9? 27. His triplets were born on July 2nd, 2007, or 27-2007. There it is, twice. Then he started seeing the number everywhere, in nature and history and in the lives of people he felt this strange connection to, like Nikola Tesla and Jim Morrison. It just kept showing up. So, you have all these patterns, all these codes. What's the ultimate conclusion he draws from all of this? Well, it's the revelation of what he truly believes to be his identity and his purpose on Earth.
He believes these numbers are the confirmation, the proof of his identity as the final incarnation of Archangel Metatron. And in these old esoteric traditions, Metatron is this incredible figure, the archangel who was once the human prophet Enoch, who ascended to heaven and literally became a celestial scribe, a recorder of all divine truth.
And Yustein sees this direct lineage, like a spiritual relay race. He points to this timeline right here. Nikola Tesla dies in January 1943. Just a few months later, Jim Morrison is born. Then, Morrison dies in July 1971, and wouldn't you know it, Yustein is born just a few months after that. For him, this isn't a coincidence. It's evidence of one single soul continuing its journey through different bodies.
And that soul, he claims, has worn a lot of faces throughout history. I mean, the list includes not just recent innovators like Tesla and Morrison, but major spiritual and mythological figures like Jesus, Thoth, and Hermes. In his view, they're all just different expressions of the same Metatronic mission.
So that brings us right up to the present day in his current work. As Metatron's final scribe, he has been unbelievably prolific, publishing over 100 books to try and get his message out into the world.
So, what's the core message that's woven through all these books? Well, if you boil it all down, it's a call to remember. He writes that humanity's divine origins have been actively suppressed by that same shadow cabal. He argues the era of secrets is ending and that we are all divine beings who are capable of our own awakening and of healing the entire planet.
He really frames his entire mission now as one of service. He says he feels this powerful compulsion to just write, to act as a channel for these ideas, and to leave behind a legacy of knowledge that can't be hidden again, all to help guide us through what he believes is this massive, monumental shift in global consciousness.
And in the end, his message really turns away from his own story and points right back at us. This quote just captures his core philosophy of empowerment perfectly. He's suggesting that the divine spark that he calls Metatron, well, it isn't exclusive to him. It's inside of every single one of us.
And that leaves us with one last question to think about. Whether you see a cosmic code or just a string of profound coincidences in Tony Yustein's journey, his story kind of invites us to look for the hidden patterns in our own lives, doesn't it? What synchronicities, what numbers, what recurring themes might be shaping your story?